Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trinergy Awakens Naturally. As you can see, we're sitting with a tree. We're in Ute Valley Park in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I was just listening, doing some more research, and coming across, pardon me, I've got my Poochie here. He likes to eat things that he's not authorized to chew on, so pardon me. Go find a pine cone. Go find a pine cone. So I was listening to a spiritualist, and I know this is counterintuitive in some ways, that I'm railing against someone who's railing against something, and I'm not railing against it so much as I'm saying, please be careful with what you're saying or what you're listening to or what you're taking in or what you're ingesting or believing or willing to believe, because this just blew my mind that, wow, people are really stepping off in some very, very, very dangerous directions. That this is a woman that has probably 50 or 60,000 followers on YouTube, and I'm not downplaying her talent. She has a talent, and she reads the energies very well. However, when she steps off into, we've got a plane going by, so hopefully you can hear me, and Hondo's digging around trying to find a pine cone, that when they step off into directions of, this is the energy, which is quite intense. There's a lot of revealing, there's a lot of, balancing, there's a lot of stuff that looks like retribution from the universe, God smiting people or whatever. I'm not into the whole, revenge thing and asking ourselves to believe that God thinks like a human. I can't go there because it doesn't make any sense. I don't know how to create the whole earth and the universe and everything, so I'm going to assume that whatever created that got to think better than I do. And so this woman is talking about people that have done dirty deeds to, the chosen people, God's people, star seeds, light workers, etc. People that are here to really help set the balance of earth, and new earth grid and new earth energies and stuff. And there are penalties to pay for harming people. You can't attack the president of a country. They've got Secret Service. You could probably tolerate a home invasion in your neighborhood, whereas that's not likely to happen. Well, maybe not, hopefully not again, that a home invasion would happen to the president of our country or the king of a kingdom or something like that. So if you think of it in those terms. However, when this woman put it into the context that she's got 50 or 60,000 people that are her followers, and I don't remember how many views there were of the video, maybe 5,000 at least, and who knows how many hours old it is, that she's telling them that you deserve to just off yourself. You should go ahead and go commit, moida on yourself. I mean, that's intense. Like, I can't believe that this woman is saying this. She has profound gifts. She can read the cards. She can read the energy, which, right on point, and I would agree. However, stepping out into, and that's my ancestors telling me that, and I made a video about that recently, that if you're going to start talking about suggesting people go ahead and just off themselves, put themselves out of their own misery to get off the planet because they're worthless, please own that, because I'm not going to allow anyone in my mind, to get away with saying that. And I'm not calling this woman out by name or anything. I'm just saying that when I hear people saying stuff like that, and no, that's just a no-no, that there are not enough people who are strong enough in their identity and their understanding or their ego, transcendence, nowhere near it, to be hearing that it's okay to suggest that somebody else do themselves in. That is how we ended up with the severe race issues we have in our country, the poverty, disparity, or the economic disparity, and all kinds of gender problems. I mean, we have problems of all kinds because of very, very shallow thinking, just like that, that's rooted in, what you deserve, because I just base you as having no human value. And this is a black woman that says this, which really blows my mind, that, it was written into the U.S. Constitution that black people were not, but so much of a human being. They were only considered so much of a human being for a vote's purpose. And that alone should, in my opinion, should really be a wake-up call to anyone that no one is disposable. There's no one that can be counted as, a partial human being or soulless or something, to the point that another human being, lateral, the same, unless you can walk on water, then I'm going to say we're all coming in the same and we're all leaving the same. Then we need to all act like we are the same in terms of our humanity. We're not all playing the same part on the team. Some of us have, a seemingly more crucial part to, getting the team to the Super Bowl and actually winning. However, to just dismiss and say, well, we don't like that team member, they're no longer worthy, that's how we got to the major problems that we have here and why we are standing where we're standing. And I get all that. However, I find it incredibly scary, dangerous, nauseating, and irritating that someone would still be talking about, ascension, ascended energy, Christ consciousness, and Jesus, all in the same, context of, spirituality and how we think higher thoughts, and we've got high vibration. I mean, we're saying all these things, and yet that is an incredibly intense thing to say about anyone. I don't care what they have done, because that is not the foundational book that gets quoted a whole lot. There's not one place in it that Jesus, is quoted as saying that that's okay. Just go ahead and just kill them if you don't like them, if they don't do what you want them to do, if they behave badly according to you. Then go ahead and just suggest that they throw themselves, right off a cliff or something. And you have people that are taking authority into their hands already and have no idea what they're doing, and they're in positions of authority already, like big, powerful positions that have been doing that kind of junk for pretty much all time. And this is the time in cosmology and cosmic history where that's changing. That's what the Age of Aquarius is about. But how do we expect that that's ever going to get better if we keep empowering people's ego to say such a thing? And she's ready to turf it off to, well, don't get mad at me. That comes right straight from the Most High. Like, that sounds like the most ignorant thing that you could possibly say, to say that the Most High said that it's okay for you to not just go and get somebody, pardon me, but to suggest that they go and take care of themselves because they're not worthy of being, alive on the planet. Hi there. They're not worthy enough to be alive on the planet anymore, or that I need to go and intercede because they have done something so terrible that, okay, wait a minute, let's go back to that foundational book that you like to cite and say 707, that are sins forgivable or not? Or are there just some that are just none, not forgivable? Or how's that work again? That there's too many inconsistencies, and I stand by what I've said before, which is that we don't have a common unilateral textbook that can get us across the whole globe. If global integration of that one textbook worked, we'd have the same textbook and it'd be working. However, we don't. So clearly, trying to shove everybody through that and then still pushing, excuse me, he's really getting all kinds of bothered, trying to shove everybody through that and then become the judge and jury and executioner. And this person likes to, say, well, I am all of that. And I'm not any of it. I am what I am. And I listen intuitively to the guidance that I get. And I act with kindness everywhere that I can. However, even my worst enemy, the person that has done me the dirtiest, I still would not be so bold as to say that I hope they just take themselves out because they're a worthless human being. What I can say, 808, is that that's a pretty turned off human being that's probably not offering much to the world because they're too busy swirling around in their dark energy. And sadly, there's nothing I can do if they're that asleep and turned off. There's nothing I can do. That needs to go onto the Most High. It needs to go on to whatever their team is, or whatever divinity is in their world or their understanding, to help them wake up or to help ease them through so that they're not burdening the world. However, for me to put it out there from my mouth, that has a whole bunch of energy on it, especially with a platform of 60,000 people, that I'm giving them the idea that it's okay for you to keep saying that. Well, it seems to me that any diversity other than white man wasn't very well accepted in the country of the great USA. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the most shameful things that I can say about being a citizen here, is that we're still playing this game. It's just that we're doing it from some lofty position of superiority. It's no different than a former president who gripped a Bible upside down in front of a church for a photo op a few years ago during a very testy time in our history, and is now selling same said book with all kinds of political agenda put into it as well. That's sacrilege on every level. But please stop quoting the Most High, this entity, this energy, this being that is so loving and kind, and yet has a very human-like side. Please, I cannot even remotely believe that we're so arrogant as to really put it out there that anyone can stand on their own recognizance and say that they believe that God, who created the entire universe and everything in it, we believe that, and that God's going to think like human and need to have retribution and get angry and all this other stuff. Does any of that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me, and it frustrates me because I've seen gang mentality, pile drive one whole human being into the ground because somebody was willing 10-10 to be that kind of a tool and take a whole bunch of people into ignorant school with them, and then they all pay the karma for it. And so though this woman does really, she seemed to be doing pretty good work reading the energy, that kind of cancels it out and really changes the flavor for me when I hear the suggestion, some sort of helicopter going over. Fort Carson is nearby, so there's a whole lot of helicopter activity, except for the Apache, which has been grounded after several accidents recently. Oops. Yeah, God bless them. But it kind of defies what her great work would be by empowering people that may or may not really be, if they're going to a tarot reader, they're going to a spiritualist or an intuitive or an oracle looking for some sort of confirmation or advice or something, then they're already perhaps not really deeply seated in their own ability to listen to their own voice and to listen to their own mind and to pray and go within and to meditate and really be clear 1111 on what they hear. And so if they have somebody that resonates with them and is reading the energy, she was popping with, yeah, that's what I get recently. And we just, 1122, you just took a hard left with suggesting that that's okay. And yet there's other people in the 5,000 people or whomever that had already listened to it, or the potential 60 that would come across at 60,000, that how many people out of that have the constitutional awareness about themselves and the energetic understanding of themselves and New Earth and all of that to really be able to separate out that, that really is not a thought that serves. That's not very good advice to just suggest, because that gets the psychopaths and the mentally broken people who are nowhere near understanding their divinity or plugging into it or being awake. They're still deep into the matrix. Helps those people find a platform and justification for doing weird stuff. And 1212, I'm looking for people to stop doing the weird stuff and have compassion for the people that have, and very clear boundaries about, no, you got to go over there with that, because there's somebody else that's meant to deal with it, not me. I don't know who it is. I just know it's not me to be dealing with people who are that stepped away from their divinity, because that's something that really not a lot of people can help. And the more we allow the upper rooms to take care of that stuff, let people meet their own consequences, let people meet their own fate, meet their own karma, whatever it is, and not get into, well, you should do this and you should do that, because then you start giving people bad ideas. And man, the average human being is already full of bad ideas. We don't need any help to give the average human being stepping off into the planet out of their house today, doesn't need any help to get lost on their way, to find a better answer than promoting the same bullshit that's just dressed up in a very high vibrational sounding thing, playing the tambourine and everything. Sounds really nice and it sounds really great. However, please, at least if you're going to say that stuff, please, oh please, oh please, please don't try to sell it to me that that's something that your elder brother teacher and his dad was talking about, while you're also quoting, yeah, no, I can't go there. So before I get twisted up 1331 anymore, all I'm suggesting to you before I go is, please be careful what you're listening to or what you're willing to take into you. That I do research, I do that kind of stuff to just get a bead on what's happening with other readers. How's this bounce off of what I am hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, feeling, and smelling, etc. in my world, and how's it bouncing off of the world events? What are there people suggesting about this? And that just took a hard left, and it's fine. It really helps me, get some clarity and possibly reach anybody that might have question about, gee, that sounds a little bit, yeah, if it seems a little bit sus to you, please, question it heavily And feel free to ask internally, 1414, what is that about, 55, because it's time for change, and we're not going to have the change until we have people that have really understood that we have to stop repeating those old tropes just dressed up in, new clothes. It's the same play. We're on to a whole new play. So anyway, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoy your day, whatever part of the day you're in. And remember, get within your skin, because you're divine is totally fine. And no matter what you've done, however badly you've played or anybody else has played, please never assume that you're not worthy or that they're not worthy or whatever. And there's some part, I cannot help but believe it, that there's some part that if we think somebody else isn't worthy of life, that we still have some work to do, that we somehow believe that we're not worthy, because there's not a person in the world that I want to suffer any amount that I've suffered, and I certainly wouldn't want them to suffer any more. However, I can't stop it when it happens, but I'm certainly not going to be putting my foot on their neck to see to it that it does happen, and I'll make sure. Oh, that just goes off into creepy territory. So before I go off on another tangent, take care, as I said, and get within your skin, because you're divine. It is so, so, so beautiful. So ancient and so knowledgeable and so, so fine. Take care, my friends, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.